G'day folks, Dave West from the Boomerang Alliance, continuing our podcast about particular themes of marine plastic pollution. Nothing really sexy to look at today because we're talking about a really important and somewhat frustrating issue being enforcement of our laws to stop microplastic pollution. As you'll see in our blog, there is as much as 25% of all marine plastic pollution actually has no reason for ever getting anywhere near the drink because it's actually an offence in how it gets there. And I'm not talking about litter, which is of course an offence in its own right. I'm talking about commercial practice failing to meet its legal obligations. There's a number of those areas. The first one, and what I would consider the largest source of these fugitive emissions, these emissions released from facilities, is waste and recycling. I don't know whether you know it, but up to 50% of all plastic bags that we're finding in the environment, i.e. things that are being called litter, have actually been identified as fugitive waste, plastic bags that have escaped either a waste treatment facility or a landfill. They're lightweight, they're not properly contained, so they get caught up in the wind and blow away from the site. Equally, whenever we walk the boundary of waste facilities, Anthony and I, our investigations manager and I, take some film of what we see on the outside of the fence. And we constantly see little tiny rivulets where the rain is washing off the site and they're constantly littered with little polystyrene beads. Equally on recycling facilities, way too many plastics recyclers actually have one of these big industrial shredding machines that they feed all the plastic into an outdoor environment. And those and industrial composting machines are quite literally a production line making, one plastic bag into 2,000 bits of plastic to be then released, caught by water or wind, into the environment. Now, it's unconscionable that those businesses just go, oh well, shit happens, and that's about how they do it. But what's even more disgusting is it's already an offence in every state in Australia to not contain waste within a waste facility. Similar to that, we have the issue of nurdles or plastic flake, the raw material that is used in injection moulding, plastic extrusion, etc., to make the plastic packaging and products. These things are so prevalent in the ocean that they've been nicknamed Mermaid tears by activists around the world. And once again, as they're feeding bags of these little pellets into the hopper or moving them on off the truck and occasionally stabbing them with the forklift, rather than pick up what is incredibly valuable material, it's often swept in. It's very difficult to work out how much of many of those are actually ending up in the drink, but it is staggering to recognise that 30% of all plastic production is actually from pellets that are recovered via what is called pre-consumer industrial recycling. And that's literally what they're sweeping up the floor. Now, if a third of the plastic ends up on the floor and they manage to sweep it up, you imagine just how much of it they don't capture because it's not a big pile or they're a little bit busy. Once again, it's generally part of, or it certainly should be part of their environmental licence, and they have a legal obligation to contain their waste within their premises and just don't. Similarly, on the marine front, we've got the fishing industry, and we've got a massive problem with ghost nets, discarded nets off the side of a boat that just keep fishing for years because they're floating in the ocean. Cargo that is lost through spills on shipboard, and ships, whether that's cargo, cruise lines or fishing boats, simply throwing their waste over the edge. Not only illegal in Australia, but in contravention of international law. Now let me say what frustrates me about this. We did a search across the prosecutions and penalties databases of those EPAs in Australia that record prosecutions and penalties. And I can't find a single instance where the EPA has gone in and cracked down on these guys. And you've got to ask yourself the question, what's the use in having bloody laws if our environmental regulators get to selectively choose what they enforce? I'm not kidding myself that better enforcement of our regulations will eliminate that 25 to 30% entirely. What I'm sure of is if government shows strong signals, if government is known to be issuing fights for being negligent about this thing, we will make deep, deep cuts in the order of 70 to 85% in that level of plastic pollution that we're experiencing. It's just not good enough, and one of our first orders of actions, given we don't need to do regulatory investigations, pass new laws and things, is to motivate our environmental ministers to just get our EPAs to do their bloody job. I hope you enjoyed this week's blog, and I hope you've enjoyed learning more about marine plastic pollution.